Today I want to talk to you about your dark side, your shadow side. Now this is something that kind of goes the opposite of the last idea I was just discussing, which is you have a dark side. You have qualities, little corners in your brain that you don't reveal to other people and that carry something from your childhood, in fact. And you won't notice this and you won't talk about it and you won't think about it because it's painful. You have this idea that you're basically a very decent, wonderful, loving, warm person, that you're very smart and bright, that you control everything that you do, etc., etc., etc. You're deeply invested in your own opinion of yourself that's generally elevated from the reality, okay? And so the fact that you have a dark side, the fact that you have a shadow side, we say the word shadow because it's not illuminated, you're not seeing it. It's hard to see something that's in the darkness. I talk about how when you were a child, when you were 3, 4, or 5 years old, a lot of that dark energy that all human beings have, it comes from the time before we were socialized as humans, before as children where we acted out and did anything that we wanted to do. You were like a complete human being. You had all these range of emotions. Some of it would be aggressive. Some of it would be angry. Some of it would be envious towards your siblings. And you didn't have this little voice inside of your head saying, don't do that, that's bad, bad, bad. You did it, you acted out. You were kind of a complete human being. But of course, we can't act like that in school or in business or at the workplace. And so we're socialized and we learn to sort of tamp down those very basic primal human needs and desires that we all have. And what happens when you repress this dark energy, this aggressiveness, this ambition, this desire to get something from other people, perhaps to manipulate people, etc., is when you repress it deeply, deeply, deeply because you have to appear to be so nice and pleasant with everyone around you. What happens is it comes out in ways that you're not aware of, that you can't control. So think about it in relation to yourself in those moments where some kind of anger suddenly flared up. Somebody said something and it triggered you. And your reaction is a little bit stronger than you normally would expect. And you think, God, what did I do in that moment? Like you'll think like minutes later or the next day. You know, you have a bit of shame or you have a bit of regret. And you have this feeling that really wasn't me. Something else came over me, right? But I want you to understand that it is you, that shadow part of you is something that you have to acknowledge. It's a deep, deep part of you. It's the little child inside of you that is wanting to come out, and you're pushing it down. And because you're pushing it down, it makes you do things that you maybe later regret, particularly when you act out against other people. So reflect on those moments and reflect on the problems that it caused you in life. I know personally that my shadow side, I tend to have very aggressive impulses, I am afraid to admit. And it comes out when I play games, card games, etc. It drives people crazy because I like to win, okay? That dark side, it contains a lot of power and a lot of energy. I know, for instance, another example of it is I'll write an email in which I'm kind of bitter and angry at somebody. And I'll send it. And then I'll go, damn it, why did I send that? I exposed myself. I revealed something about myself that I didn't want to reveal, and I regretted. That's my shadow side acting out, okay? The point of this is not to make you these conniving, manipulative, angry people acting out in the world. That's not going to help you at all. The value here is recognizing that you have this dark energy, that you have these impulses, sometimes to even hurt people, to manipulate people, to push people around to get what you want. Sometimes you don't like other people, but you have to be so pleasant in the office. You have to say, oh, you're wonderful. Oh, your screenplay was so great. And you feel, oh, I'm not being authentic, okay? So what you want to do in this process, it's called shadow work in psychology, is you want to look at it. You want to look at yourself in the mirror. You want to recognize that dark energy, okay? Yes, I am aggressive. Yes, I can get angry. Yes, I want to get what I want in life, and sometimes I'm not the nicest person about it. I have these desires. Yes, I feel envy. Just have that come to Jesus' moment and admit that you have this energy. Now, once you admit it, you have to then try and find a way to channel it, okay? It's not like you repress it. It's not like you act out in this world. It's that you find a way to move it in a direction that's productive. So, for instance, I had a lot of anger in my years, particularly in my 20s and 30s, when I didn't have any success in life. I felt like, I had to deal with a lot of office politics, and I hated it. And I hated all the brown nosing. I hated all the people who got ahead by the sheer bullshit. It drove me crazy. I was angry. And I channeled that anger into the 48 Laws of Power, because there's a deep undercurrent of anger in that book about all those people who pushed me around, and I felt like it wasn't fair. Okay, I took that dark energy and I channeled it into something I think is productive. Now, you might disagree with it, but I think it had a productive impact on people. A lot of artists and people who create something have that same thing. Instead of moving away from your anger, they access it. They find it in them. They find the things that they don't like. They find all the oppression, all the people that did nasty things to them. And they don't whine and complain and act out. They put it into their work. They express it. And when we see a movie or we read a book that has that dark energy, we love it, because we're also repressed people. We all have to be so virtuous that when we see other people expressing it, we love it. The other way to do that is, if you have a lot of aggressive energy, push it into something productive, into a career, make yourself the best person, or into a cause you hate. You hate certain things that people do in this world, or you're very worried about certain causes. Pour all of that anger, that energy, that aggression into something worthwhile and pro-social that'll help people. So the idea here, just to summarize, is recognize your dark energy. Recognize the shadow that's inside of you. See when it happens. Do not repress it. Do not tamp it down. Do not let it act out in the world freely, but find a way to channel it. So when you take like water or something that has a lot of force behind it, and you channel it in a direction, it actually has more force. So when you take that energy and you concentrate it on something important, it has a lot of power to it. So this is the idea of recognizing your shadow and using it for all that energy that's in it.